Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to our regularly scheduled board meeting. It is 7:01 and I'm calling the meeting to order. At this time, I'd ask Director Venkatachalam to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome our audience to our meeting, and I would like to ask Vice President Benger to please read our land acknowledgement this evening.
Yes. We acknowledge we are gathered upon the ancestral lands of the Muckleshoot Indian tribe, who historically lived throughout the area between the Cascade Mountains and Puget Sound.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to explain the process for audience participation. Welcome, everyone. This is a meeting of the Kent School District Board, which is held in public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. The purpose of board meetings is for the board to conduct its business in public. During the meeting, the board will listen to but not respond to comments from the audience. Those wishing to comment must complete an online form as indicated on the district website and in BoardDocs. Tonight, there will be two periods where public comment will be heard: at the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting. Questions raised through submitted public comment addressing an issue may require further investigation, and staff will contact you to follow up. If you indicated a desire to speak to an agenda item, your comment will be read at that portion of the agenda. General comments tonight will be read during the audience communications sections of the agenda. Dr. Watts, are there any changes to the agenda? You're muted. Yeah. You were muted, Dr. Watts. Yeah.
A few technical difficulties, my apologies.
It's been that day.
Yes. Thank you. President Daniels, there is one change to the agenda. Please know that discussion on capital planning updates has been added as an item 6.10. That should be noted under discussion, not discussion and approval, discussion only.
Discussion only. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have a board member make a motion to add that item?
I make a motion that we add this item to our agenda.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving adding the agenda item 6.10 for capital planning updates, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? The motion carries. I do apologize. Director Hamada is not feeling well this evening, so she is excused. All right, we're on to agenda item 2.0. Ms. Howley, are there any comments to be read tonight?
Yes, good evening, President Daniels, members of the board. We have only two comments, so I will read both of those at this time.
Thank you.
The first one is from Carrie Colanzo. And Carrie says, good evening, President Daniels, members of the board, and Dr. Watts. My name is Carrie Colanzo, and I am a proud KSD parent, elementary librarian, and a member of the Kent Educators of Color Network core team. Thank you for the opportunity to share this evening. It is essential that the Kent School District continue to move forward to address issues of systemic racism that affect all of us, students, educators, staff, and our community. We have been leaders in technology for many years. We need to be leaders in equity, just as our mission states. As one of the most diverse school districts in the state, we need to do more to ensure change and action towards equity. Please consider having KSD adopt a formal position on Black Lives Matter, including Black Lives Matter at school. This would be a meaningful and important step for all members of our community. How powerful it would be for our Black students to know that they matter, they are important, and that we care about them. I would also like you to consider building upon our social and emotional learning teaching to specifically address the racial issues that our BIPOC and other marginalized students face each day. Having money allocated towards training and curriculum to support this work is crucial to its success. This year has included daily SEL in each classroom. Let's continue the good work we've begun. Last June, each class at my school dedicated one lesson to discussing George Floyd and what was happening in the world. Staff volunteered to create age-appropriate lessons using a story, restorative circle format, and question prompts, and to support each other to deliver this essential learning. Students had a safe place to listen, to ask questions, and to be heard. One second grader's mom had shared how much it meant to her family, and especially her daughter, to have this opportunity. Her email said, "C was very happy you discussed the issue in class because for days she had been feeling it was just an issue for Black people. You were all open about the issue and encouraged the children to share their thoughts." My two asks of adopting a BLM stance and deepening our SEL work to include racial and other intersectionalities would be a powerful, meaningful step towards equity and justice within our KSD community. Thank you for your time and your work. The second public comment is from Zachary Nyhusman. Zachary says, "My comment is not centered towards addressing the board, mainly Dr. Watts and the Director of School Operations, since I know the board had little say in the things I'm going to mention. From March 2020 until now, the district has had no plan to continue education in the 1920 school year, causing immense loss of potential learnings to all students. You had no plan for the 2021 school year, causing everyone to start school late and making seniors graduate a week later. You had no plans to allow us to go back to school until Governor Inslee forced you to. You had no plan for athletics. You were going to make seniors miss out on their final year of sports because you were too scared or lazy. You have had no plans for graduation. You have stolen graduation from the seniors. You have been unable to answer basic questions in emails. You have not listened to the feedback from the students. You have not listened to the feedback from parents. You have removed any sense of normalcy from the past year. You have ignored us, the voters and taxpayers. I have gone to KSD for all 13 years of my educational career. I have attended Meridian Elementary, Matson Middle, and now will graduate from Kentwood in 10 long days. I can say without a doubt that KSD teachers care about their students. However, I cannot say the same about the administration running the district. I have never been more disappointed in a group of people as much as you. Some of you are paid in excess of $200,000 a year. You should all be ashamed of what you have done. COVID may have stolen the end of my junior year, but you stole my and 1,500 other seniors their final year in graduation." President Daniels, that is the end of the public comments for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Right, we are on to agenda item 3.0, the superintendent report. Dr. Watts, will you begin your report?
Yes. Thank you, President Daniels. And certainly, as we know, the 2021 school year, which also has been one of the most challenging school years of any educator's career. It's also my 6th year serving as your Kent School District Superintendent. As this year draws to a close, I've recently taken opportunities to meet with team members around the district to pause and reflect, and I am filled with gratitude. Now, I also want to share my sincere appreciation for our entire Kent School District community, every member, our students, our staff, our families, our voting public, those who do not have children who are enrolled in our schools, which amounts to about 75% of those who live within our attendance boundaries. The lessons learned this year, which is also my 29th year as an educator. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic and the coinciding rise in social unrest, they've brought challenges. That is clear. They've brought opportunities as well that many of us really never saw coming. And I'm grateful for those in our community, particularly all Team KSD members, who chose to respond with kindness, with love, with grace, certainly during what has been a particularly challenging year for each and every one of us, from the living room to the classroom to the boardroom. Now, each year during this time, we take opportunities not just to pause and reflect on the year behind us, but simultaneously celebrate the work that's been accomplished, the learning that has taken place, and also to honor those moving on to their next steps. So for our students, each and every one, this can include promotion from preschool and preparing for kindergarten in the fall. It can also include moving ahead from 6th grade and preparing for the important transition to middle school in its current form in Kent School District. For our 8th graders, it includes that pivotal transition from middle school and preparing for high school. And finally, our seniors. Yes, those from whom we've heard and those from whom we have not. The class of 2021 will be graduating on either June 17th, June 18th, or Juneteenth, as in June 19th. And I cannot wait to celebrate this milestone with them next week. And we also have many staff celebrations along with our students. We know that our students succeed with the help and the guidance and the leadership of the adults who are serving them. And so those staff members whom we celebrate, I am honored to be a part of during this time of year. Now, from celebrating more than 500 Kent School District employees for either 5-year, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, or even 40 years of service for the 2021 school year, to 11 outstanding individuals who were nominated by their peers within their labor groups for Employee of the Year recognition in Kent School District, to our 2021 retirees, those who have professionally graduated, whom we will extend a fond farewell with gratitude and praise for their years of service to our students, to our staff, and our families. And I also want to celebrate and honor the many individuals and community groups in our Kent School District community who have come together this school year to serve our students and our families well. And while there's always more that we can do, and we will continuously improve and work to make perfect progress, I also look forward to keeping this spirit alive and well. And while also keeping our children at the center of our focus and our collective hearts and minds set on excellence. Now, as we reflect on this year, so many Kent School District community members chose to no longer remain silent as they saw the civil unrest that took place locally, regionally, nationally, and globally. The outcry for change and protests and rallies across our community and our nation and our world. I also look forward to continuing the momentum of our district's diversity, equity, inclusion, and most important, our belonging work, and standing shoulder to shoulder with all of those who are committed to supporting each and every student in Kent School District in new, bold, and impassioned ways. Now, as we prepare for the new school year, our summer work in Kent School District will prioritize academic recovery and learning acceleration through a lens of racial equity. The school board has approved our academic and student well-being recovery plan, and that plan has been submitted to OSPI. And our plan and planning are similar, but they're always ongoing. In phase 1, Kent School District staff will develop action plans from June through September 2021. However, these action plans, as they continue to be developed, our summer school program offerings will also serve to support students across Kent School District beginning July 6th. Now, many schools have posted information on their schools' websites and their newsletters, and more offerings and information are still to come as we finalize plans for the entire summer. Last month, even, we shared how much we look forward to reopening all Kent School District schools for in-person instruction occurring 5 full days per week for all Kent School District students in pre-K through grade 12. Now, the first day of school for our 2021-22 school year is August 26, 2021 for grades 1st through 12th. Kindergarten is scheduled to start on August 31st, 2021. And I look forward to welcoming back our students in person for the new school year. And while guidance from the Department of Health is available now for the fall, we anticipate that guidance updates from public health will continue to change daily, perhaps, or certainly at some time over the summer. And we will prepare for that consistent monitoring for change and responding as appropriate. So until such time, please continue to check your email, check your mail, text messages, school and district website, and our mobile app all summer long for news and updates about safety protocols in the new school year. As always, stay healthy and stay safe. President Daniels, I appreciate your attention. That concludes my report this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Watts. We're on to agenda item 4.0, the legislative update. Director Mingadaslam.
Yes, thank you. As you know, we don't have a session right now, so I don't have too much to share, but I will just talk about, Dr. Watts just mentioned about schools opening in the fall for in-person. And so OSPI has released a statement that school districts may not offer hybrid or remote learning to the exclusion of full-time in-person learning and for any student. However, students may choose, of course, to enroll in remote learning programs. One of the things that I wanted to bring up was some of the board directors have been busy with working with legislative teams, and a small group of us board members of color have worked on a framework to expand the voice, input, and leadership of school directors of color. And so there have been 26 ideas that have been generated for school districts across the state. And we are trying to prioritize those that will help our school directors of color. And we're looking at our underlying desires and outcomes for those particular issues and looking at the barriers and what is the supportive structure and the framework that WASDA can help us build to make this group a sustainable group. And we're looking at who would be responsible for the tasks involved and measuring those status and progress of that. So that's going to be an ongoing thing that's going to come up very soon, and we'll give you more details as we develop those strategies and ideas. So a couple of things. One of the discussions I think as a board we would need to kind of think about and have a discussion is around adopting any strict requirements regarding masks at in-person at the in-person component of the board meetings. Right now, it's pretty flexible in terms of what can happen if we're not in the school grounds. That fully vaccinated members of the public can be present without a mask and so forth. But we do need to document what it is that we need to do. And so the school board does have the authority to require documentation of vaccination status of members of the public who are not wearing a mask at a public meeting or on district property, or requiring members of the public on district property to wear the face mask regardless of vaccination status. So I would encourage us to have a discussion about that, because I think we are going to be moving to in-person meetings, and I don't know where we all stand on that. So that's something that OSBI is recommending. And then finally, let's see. I did appreciate our discussion on the academic, let's see, we had a discussion last week on the academic student well-being recovery plan. And I know there were a lot of questions about how are we going to frame this. And there is information on OSBI. I was reading about it the other day, and I do think, we have this equity analysis tool that we're using, our 5 questions. And I think we need to kind of start thinking about, our own policy discussions. I think it was President Daniels who brought up, we haven't really used that when we're talking about our policies. And so there is a framework there on the OSBI website, and there's going to be some guidance, and agreed with Dr. Herman that, it is coming up in November, but it is at that time that we're going to be looking at data for our students. And so I hope, we'll have a robust plan as well. And I do think we have a little bit of time to gear up and make sure that that plan is very strong and address the well-being of our students. And that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Venkatasalam. At this time, we're on to agenda item 4.5.0. I apologize, recognitions. And in Director Hamada's absence, I've asked Director Beno to read the Juneteenth proclamation.
Thank you. We have a proclamation from Governor Inslee. Whereas on January 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, setting in motion the end of slavery in the United States. And whereas it was not until June 19th, 1865, that it was announced to those still enslaved in Texas, the people are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. And whereas celebration of the end of slavery, which became known as Juneteenth, is the oldest known public celebration of the end of slavery in the United States. And whereas Juneteenth commemorates African-American freedom and celebrates the successes gained through education and greater opportunity. And whereas on a larger scale, celebration of Juneteenth reminds each of us of the precious moments of freedom, equality, and opportunity, which are at the core of the American dream. Now, therefore, Governor Jay Inslee of Washington does hereby proclaim Friday, June 19th, 2020 as Juneteenth in the state of Washington, and urges all citizens to become aware of the significance of this celebration in American history and in the heritage of our nation and state. Signed the 6th day of June, 2020 by Governor Inslee.
Thank you, Director Beno. I will proceed to read the retirement celebration. Whereas Kent School District is celebrating its employees have retired and commend them for endeavoring to teach and prepare our next generation of young people. Whereas Kent School District acknowledges these tireless professionals who have made a remarkable difference in young lives by demonstrating our core values of excellence, equity, and community. And whereas Kent School District honors these employees for the dedication and hard work they provided to students and families over the years, and understands the significant role they played to help carry out our mission of successfully preparing all students for their futures. Now, therefore, let it be resolved, the Kent School District Board of Directors proclaims June 9th, 2021 as a district retirement celebration and wishes our retirees happiness, peace, and success in their next phase of life. Signed this 9th day of June, 2021 by the Kent School Board. And now we will move on to our recognition. So Dr. Behringer, would you please begin the Employees of the Year and Teacher of the Year presentation?
Yes. Karen, do we have the PowerPoint?
We do. I was not aware. I thought you would be presenting from your laptop.
Oh, I can do that. I can share my screen. I just have all my notes. I have all my notes on another page, so I won't be able to see my notes if I'm going through the the PowerPoint.
Dr. Behringer, would you like me to open the presentation?
If you could, I would appreciate that. I'm sorry. That was obviously a miscommunication in there somewhere.
Okay.
I apologize.
Sorry for the delay.
Thank you very much, Karen. Good evening, President Daniels, members of the board, Dr. Watts, Ms. Halley. I'm absolutely thrilled to share with you our employees of the year from their respective labor groups this evening. We have thousands of amazing employees supporting student learning in the Kent School District, and each year we have the opportunity to honor 11 outstanding employees that are nominated by their colleagues in their labor groups. These nominations are grounded in how the individual's work supports the KSD strategic goals. And the nominations were scored by representatives from all of our labor groups. Our first employee of the year this evening is Arlene George from our Teamsters labor group. Arlene has been a bus driver for us for over 32 years. She is knowledgeable and proficient in her professional career at KSD Transportation. She's an excellent problem solver and takes care of any issues promptly and effectively with a calm demeanor. She stays on top of any schedule changes with the schools and her students' route times and informs students, parents, and staff members, both verbally and in writing, of these changes. Arlene has developed lifetime friendships and is a kind and caring employee and a friend to all. Congratulations, Arlene. Our next employee of the year is Guy Byers from our AFT labor group. Guy is the head custodian at Meridian Elementary School. Every single day, Guy demonstrates what it means to be disciplined, focused, and diligent in rendering a clean, safe, and well-functioning school building for our students. He's concerned for every student and staff member. Guy has shared the Golden Broom Award as an incentive for all students, building-wide, being stewards over their own classrooms. Congratulations, Guy. Our next employee of the year is Lindsey Barron of our non-representative administrative employee group. Lindy is the Assistant Director of Health Services and is more than deserving of this award, as she has been at the helm of the COVID-19 outbreak, leading our nurses and our district to meet the ever-changing guidance and direction from multiple agencies. The entirety of Team KSD would not be where we are and as ready for students and staff without Lindy's unending dedication, knowledge, long hours, and her commitment to our health and well-being. Simply said, Team KSD would not be where we are without Lindy as the Assistant Director of Health Services and the district COVID lead. Congratulations, Lindy. Our next employee of the year is Emily Collado our non-represented, non-supervisory employee group. Emily is an executive assistant supporting Executive Director Randy Heath and the Student and Family Support Services team. She is extremely knowledgeable and knows how to connect people with the answers they need. She also is understanding that sometimes parents just need a sympathetic ear and someone to understand their frustrations. Emily is a hard worker and gives her all to get the job done. She is always flexible and willing to pitch in when anyone on the team needs her. She truly cares about all students in the Kent School District and goes above and beyond what is expected from her each day. Congratulations, Emily. Our next employee of the year is Erica Wolfskill of our coaches group. Erica is a coach at Kent Meridian High School. She uses everything she's learned as a former cheerleader, a student, and a coach to help mentor students at KM. Her dedication to the KM mantra of hold yourself to a higher standard is a universal message she reinforces that by lifting kids up each and every day. Coach Erica also runs our Taylor Strong and St. Jude childhood cancer outreach and fundraising programs. Coach Erica, along with our cheerleaders, have raised thousands of dollars each year that is donated to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Congratulations, Erica. Our next employee of the year is Alyssa Tabalski of our KEA non-classroom certificated staff group. Alyssa is a counselor at Ridgewood Elementary School. She has a mission to positively impact every student and help them realize their full potential. She is an excellent role model and spends time in the classroom supporting students with skills that grow their social emotional learning, behavior, and academics. She exemplifies the best qualities and characteristics of Team KSD because she is sincerely invested in supporting students, staff, and their families. She really cares and is a support and inspiration to those around her. She's extremely skilled in her practice as a counselor and an educator. Congratulations, Alyssa. Our next employee of the year is Zanna Chen of our KSFSA Nutrition Services Group. Zanna has been a great team player and a leader with our nutrition services team and KSD community. She assists meal distribution weekly and will always fill in where needed. She has a great attitude and she guides families in the right direction when asked for help. She is dedicated and cares about the well-being of the team she leads. You can see the passion she has when it comes to the quality of work that is produced for the students of this district. Congratulations, Anna. Our next employee of the year is Judy Franklin of our KOP Office Professionals Group. Judy is the administrative assistant at Kent Mountain View Academy. Judy, as the school attendance representative, was a large factor in making sure that our students knew how important it was for them to attend school and graduate on time. It is apparent in all her actions how much she cares for each of our families and our students. She uses her extensive knowledge of our student population to collaborate with teachers on effective attendance and homework strategies to help our students. In the background, she uses her skills to provide a welcoming and safe environment for all students and their families. Congratulations, Judy. Our next employee of the year is Laura Hoffner of our CAP Paraeducators Group. Laura is a paraeducator at TOP, our Transition Outreach Program. She is a team player who's always willing to do more than is asked of her. She is willing to train and help any staff in need. She is innovative and creative. She knows how to work with all types of students. She has a knack for tech skills and is really driven to help students be their most independent selves. Laura goes out of her way to ensure students are learning to the best of their abilities and how to be ready for their future careers and to be independent, successful members of society. Congratulations, Laura. Our next employee of the year is Patricia Stallard of our KPA Principals and Assist Principals Work Group. Trish is the principal of Cedar Valley Elementary School. Trish has inspired our Cedar Valley team to continually encourage our scholars to time travel into the future, seeing themselves further their education, where they see themselves living, what hobbies would they be doing. Everyone in our Cedar Valley team is always invited to participate in trainings together, enjoy collaborative solutions and forward thinking. She has our most struggling scholars paired with caring adults who reach out to them every week to let them know they are cared about and to support whatever needs they may have. Building and sustaining relationships is extremely important to Trish. The vocabulary used in the building for instruction is systemic, so all scholars can access content from year to year. Congratulations, Trish. And a reminder, our teacher of the year this year was Benita Webb from our KEA's teacher group. Benita teaches at Meridian Middle School. She understands how the social emotional needs of our students are just as important to nurture and cultivate as their academics. Ms. Webb is firm and fair while working with students who have challenges. She has developed meaningful relationships with students and their families. She can tell you personal details about each and every student she serves. She works tirelessly to support her school community and to facilitate understanding, whether it's between teachers and students, teachers and families, or parents and students. Again, congratulations, Benita. Congratulations to all of our recipients this year. And congratulations to all KSD employees for all their hard work and dedication to support our students and their learning. More information about each of these amazing individuals can be found on the employee recognition section of our KSD website. That is all.
Thank you, Dr. Behringer. We appreciate it, and congratulations to all. At this time, it looks like we're going to go back to Dr. Behringer for our district-wide staff years of service recognitions.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, President Daniels, members of the board, Dr. Watts, and Ms. Howley. As Dr. Watts stated in his superintendent's message, the Kent School District is pleased to recognize more than 500 Kent School District employees for years of service of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and even 40 years of service for the 21-22 school year. Now, it would take hours to read through 500 names, so a complete list of those celebrating their landmark anniversaries is posted on the Celebrating Team KSD section of our website. Additionally, our district will be mailing out certificates to each of their homes and encouraging individual schools and teams to host virtual celebrations for their staff. We appreciate all members of KSD for their commitment, passion, and hardworking dedication to our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Behringer. All right, at this time, excuse me, we are on to our agenda item 6.0 for discussion and approval. Agenda item 6.01 is resolution number 1607, the out of endorsement waivers. Is there a motion?
I move acceptance of 6.01 resolution number 1607 out of endorsement waivers.
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. And is there a discussion? I want to take a moment and thank everyone for answering the questions that were presented. The staff, as usual, did an amazing job answering the questions prior to the meeting, so thank you so much. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.01, resolution number 1607, out of endorsement waivers, I apologize. Please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstention? Motion carries. 6.02, mobile hotspots for students and staff. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we approve 6.02 mobile hotspots for students and staff.
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.02, mobile hotspots for students and staff, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? The motion carries. 6.03, the renewal SHI International Microsoft licenses. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we approve 6.03 renewal SHI International Microsoft licenses.
I second.
Moved and seconded twice. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.03, renewal for SHI International Microsoft licenses, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. 6.04, renewal, microcomputer systems, micro K-12 Lightspeed systems. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve 6.04 renewal microcomputer systems, micro K-12 Lightspeed systems.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.04, the renewal microcomputer systems, micro K-12 Lightspeed systems, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
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 All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? The motion carries. 6.05, a renewal for JGM Consulting, E-Rate Consulting. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve 6.05 renewal JGM Consulting, E-Rate Consulting.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.05, a renewal JGM Consulting, E-Rate Consulting, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. On to agenda item 6.06, the renewal Intrado, formerly West Interactive School Messenger. Is there a motion?
I move adoption of 6.06 renewal of Intrado school messenger.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I just want to say again, thank you for all these answers to these questions because it's very helpful.
Absolutely. All right, so I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.06, a renewal of Intrado, formerly West Interactive School Messenger, indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
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 All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. 6.07, KPM PAC Audiovisual System. Is there a motion?
I move 6.07 Kent Meridian PAC audiovisual system.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none.
Again-
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say again, I really appreciate the answers to our questions because it really clarified what the purpose of the project was that we had a lot of questions about. So I feel very good about the answers that we got. So I want to thank, I don't know who answered that, Gordon Cooks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.07, the KM PAC Audio Visual System, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
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 Those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries. 6.08, Carriage Crest Elementary Fire Alarm Replacement, approval of final acceptance. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve 6.08 Carriage Crest Elementary Fire Alarm Replacement Approval and Final Acceptance.
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.08, Carriage Crest Elementary Fire Alarm Replacement, approval of final acceptance, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
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 Any opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Agenda item 6.09, contracts to Daktronics and Sequoia Electric LLC for Emerald Park Elementary Reader Board. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we approve 6.09 contracts to Daktronics and Sequoia Electric LLC for Emerald Park Elementary Reader Board.
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 6.09, contracts to Daktronics and Sequoia Electric LLC for Emerald Park Elementary Reader Board, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? The motion carries. We're on to our consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to pull from the consent? Oh, I apologize. We have to add 6.10. I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
we need to add 6.10, which was our capital. Let me go back. Capital planning updates. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we open the discussion for the capital planning updates.
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I had a couple things from yesterday. I just wanted to ask. They don't necessarily need to be answered right now, but I want to just ask because one of the things might require a little bit more information gathering. One is the turf, the AstroTurf that's being looked at. I'm just wondering about microplastics and how enviro friendly that is my first question. And I don't know if you know the answer now, great. If not, you can get back to me.
I do not. That's a great question. I will definitely get back to you on that one.
Okay. The second one is, I know as we move forward with our capital projects plan and looking at district wide, I'm curious if there's a list of buildings, their age, when they were last renovated, if they've ever had a full remodel. If we can have a list like that, we can see. I know that I've had some conversations about Kent Ridge and they said they've never had a remodel and it looks like it. So I'm just kind of curious about things like that.
Yes, we can absolutely supply that with you, Director Bena, for sure.
All right. That's what I had from yesterday. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're moving on to.
I'm sorry. I thought, I guess it was Director Hamada that had questions. So I'm going back to my questions from yesterday too that didn't get answered. Did you have a chance to address those?
If we could review those, Vice President Benninger, I'm more than willing.
The health room. So you said that the health room at Lake Young's is hopefully going to be done this year.
That is, we are trying. We do not
Okay.
have a definitive answer. I wanted to go back with that. First of all, point of correction. I wanted to go back to slide number 4 from last night. You were absolutely correct. The numbers that I showed for enrollment was actually our capacity number. So I want to make sure that was an error on my part. I apologize, and I will update that slide for sure.
Okay, I get it.
Okay.
That makes way more sense.
So I did want to come back to the Lake Young's point so that you know and give some definition of why this happened. So the Lake Young's was supposed to be done in summer of 2020. When COVID hit, we had many vendors that did not want to participate in a lot of different work. So they could not commit to a rushed schedule. Plus, we did not know if students were coming back. We did not know. We were always on that cusp of, are students going to come back this month or not? So we decided not to do that during the COVID time. The project would have taken the health room offline, and with no exact date for students return, it was not viable. So the 2021 summer is shortened. Our schedule was changed. We have added days for the summer. So now children are out, students are out on the 25th. The first available day for work would be the 28th. And then the school would have to open back up on the 26th of August. So Vice President Benninger, at this point in time right now, we think just, I'm looking at 47 working days. That's pretty tough to do all the mechanical, electrical, and the architectural work inside of that. Even though it's a small room, it's still a lot of work to be done in 47 days.
Okay.
But we do know the importance of this. We absolutely know the importance of. I've walked that room various times with my project planner, and we do have a plan for that.
Okay, and then going back to French Field, the bleachers and the paint, is that in a bond or a levy?
It is in a levy.
Okay, the 2018 levy?
The 2018 capital levy, yes.
Okay, so what arts projects were in that capital levy?
I would have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
So arts projects on the levy.
Yeah.
I do know that we have a Kent Ridge Art Department complete remodel at Kent Ridge in the 2016 bond. And I believe that starts design in 2022. 2022. So it would probably be a 2023 remodel.
Okay, and then the non-ADA accessible bathrooms outside the gymnasium there at KR?
So at Kent Ridge, that is actually a mid-design project right now that I am designing with architects currently for the foyer. So that is the PAC gym foyer. It has nothing to do with the inside of the PAC, nothing to do with the inside of the gym. It is just the foyer. So we're creating 2 bathrooms, storage, display cases, and a concession and a ticket booth there. We are in mid-design right now. We're ready to almost share that design with the principal staff, core team, and any staff member. I'm sure it will be the PAC manager and the PE teacher as well, to let them know what that's going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like you go to I'll tell you, I went to an event right after my hip surgery. I went to the big, the big choral bash they have in the gym, and that was a problem. Being in a walker and wheelchair, people, in a wheelchair and walkers, there's no place, there's no restroom nearby.
So just so that you know, we do have ADA bathrooms that are close to there. They're over in the behind the PAC on the ADA section. There's a bathroom in that corridor, and then also the gym lockers rooms as well too. But again, we are looking at putting ADA bathrooms in for community members for performances. Yeah,
well, but more people use that gym, and that's also, there's no way, someone attending the gym. I saw 2 people in wheelchairs try and access a bathroom during that event too, and it was like, you got basketball games going on a lot there. That's a really active gymnasium there. That's actually part of our bond planning for the next bond. We are looking at ADA access and bathrooms for community spaces. Yeah. And then my last question is just in general, what's the process for follow-up on projects to make sure that all the work was done to satisfaction? Who goes through and reviews that?
Well, since I'm the director of capital planning and facilities, it is my position to make sure that all projects through capital planning are done within the guidelines and the standards per code. So it's under my realm. If you're speaking to Promethean, that it was a shared responsibility between the capital planning team and the DARTS team, because if you really think about it, Promethean boards were technically a technological event. So it's technology. So, but it came into the capital planning realm as a capital project. So we as constructors took that process over to have things put in there.
Okay.
And thank you, Mr. Buzzer. And we know that that partnership will always be one that should be working at high levels, and we'll continue to work towards that. As we mentioned before, the reason why that technological device is supported by capital facilities is because of the hardwiring. And that
absolutely. That is absolutely correct, Dr. Watch. You're absolutely right.
Okay. But just like even projects like, so bus loops and stuff, you go drive them once they're done to make sure that everything looks right, right?
So Vice President Benninger, I'd like to kind of explain what my position is, if we don't know. I am the Director of Capital Planning and Facilities, but I am the project planner. So I am the person managing more than 65% of our projects to date.
Right.
I only have one other planner that actually acts as a project manager, Brett Scribner, and he runs the other 40% of work. So my duties daily are to look at projects, design, manage the implementation of it, manage the progress of it, make decisions on site, and then make sure it's followed up. So that is part of my duties. And I currently have about 83 projects somewhere between design and closeout right now on my docket.
Okay. So, and then, or are there, like in facilities and stuff, dude, I mean, there's only you that goes and reviews all the projects when they're completed, or is that fall to facilities, or?
No, so in our realm, when a project is completed, if I am the planner on the project, I go out and I look at that project. If we have an architect or an engineer, they go into that and do their own punch list. We do our punch list. And we do not accept the project until it is completed per documents, per plan, per code, per spec.
Cool. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I had one more question I didn't answer yesterday. It had to do, I know that Mill Creek fields are prone to flooding. And I noticed that Mill Creek fields were like canceled or delayed or something about the city of Kent. I just wanted a little bit more information about that.
Sure, absolutely. The Mill Creek field renovation project is on hold, TBD. So we have the budget for it. It will be done. The city of Kent last year or 2 years ago started a dredging project to dredge Mill Creek. It is Indian tribal land. The creek is, because it has the fish in it. So they have been working through tribal affiliations and other agencies to be able to get that dredging project. That's it will encompass over a mile long and about 8 feet deep. So right now they're just going through that process. If we were to have started our field project, they would have, if we finished our field project and then they came through with the creek and just destroyed it, we wouldn't, they would just say, hey, it's part of our project, have a nice day. So I've worked with the city of Kent and said, hey, let me know when you're ready to do it. Once you get through your provisions and you get the creek down to your dredging level, then we will go in with our consultants and architects, engineers, and then we will design that field appropriately.
And do you know if once they finish that project, are they going to be prone to flooding again? Or is that, it's Mother Nature, we can't predict, but do we know if we're going to like try to raise the fields a little bit or anything like that?
So I couldn't tell you about Mother Nature. Director Benno, I think you and I can both agree with that. But I do know that the valley is very prone to flooding. I'll even go one step further. This is why it's very tough to put a portable in the valley right now. If we put a portable in the valley, we have to do a certified engineered report to make sure that the water, once it's tied down with block, that it would not float away. So it's an engineered report, and those cost us, I would say thousands. I won't say eventually, but it would cost at least $20,000 for those reports per portable. It's very expensive these days.
Thank you for your answers. I appreciate.
You're very welcome.
Very helpful.
Thank you. All right, so we're on to our consent agenda. Are there any items anyone would like to pull?
Yes, please. 7.04 and 7.05.
Is there a motion to approve this consent agenda item 7.01 through 7.03 and 7.06 through 7.09?
I move that we approve consent agenda items 7.01 through 7.03 and then 7.06 through 7.09.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, I'll do it this way, minus 7.04 and 7.05, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye.
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 All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, can I get a motion to approve agenda item? So since they're the same, do you want to speak to them in the same vein or do you want to separate them out? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve agenda items 7.04 and 7.05?
I move that we approve agenda items 7.04 and 7.05.
I'll second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
And forgive me, I didn't ask these questions before the meeting, so but hopefully I noticed in the narrative that it said that you were unable to identify a resource that met the needs of staff and students, and I was just wondering, I had wonderings about that.
Sure. So good evening, President Daniels, Vice President Bettinger, Ms. Howley, Dr. Watts, and members of the board. I'm going to invite Dr. Christine Corbley and Dr. Christopher White, who manage our world language programs, to provide some additional context.
Thank you.
President Daniels, directors, Director Bettinger. I They did meet, the curriculum that they chose was the curriculum that met their needs. They evaluated 4 different curriculums initially and came down to this particular curriculum. I'd have to go back and look at, maybe I had a typo in the message to you guys.
Okay, yeah, because the narrative in both of them says they were unable to identify resources that met the needs of staff and students. So I was like, okay.
I'm sorry, that must have been a typo on my my part.
Okay. I was just like trying to make sure. It's like, were you saying you don't want us to approve this because it doesn't meet the needs of students? And it was just, I was just very confused.
I'm sorry about that. My apologies.
No, I just wanted to clarify. So that helps a lot. Thank you.
All right, any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving agenda item 7.04, instructional materials committee textbook adoptions, and 7. French core curriculum, and 7.05, instructional materials committee textbook adoptions, Spanish core curriculum, please indicate by raising your right hand and saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed indicate by raising your right hand and saying no. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries.
I said aye, right? Okay, thank you.
Thought you did.
Okay. I was like, did I say aye? I think I did.
All right.
Oh boy.
For better information. And I would like to just thank the Capital Facilities Department and Safety Services for providing that work session. I was able to review it and it was great information. Thank you so much for all of that. All right, we're on to agenda item 9.0. 9.01, final communication from the audience, which we do not have any. And so we'll move on to our board reports and discussion. We'll begin with Director Benham.
Thank you. I want to wish a happy Pride Month to our LGBTQ plus community. I understand and know that visibility is important and visibility saves lives. I see you, I acknowledge you, and wish you a very happy month of celebrating safely. I think it's important to understand the history of Pride and the struggles of the LGBTQ plus community. And it's important acknowledging how much work our society has to do and how important it is as we look at our equity lens that we not leave out this community of people. I also want to thank the presenters who did the facilities and capital projects work session yesterday. Very informative. I feel like all these work sessions, we get a lot of information. It adds to my wealth of knowledge of Kent School District, and I appreciate. I also want to thank personally Alyssa Francis, who's at the help desk, who was able to help me problem solve some of my technology issues very quickly. I always appreciate that, so thank you very much. Past meetings I met with the Kent Educators of Color last Saturday. What an amazing group of educators. There's some great brains working for this district. There's some great educators here. I love it. I think it's great. I think we need to continue working with the Kent Educators of Color. I went to Kent Ridge to check out the Performing Arts Center with Vice President Bettinger. It was amazing to talk to Miss G, find out a lot about the theater. I am feeling kind of a little bit of FOMO about going to theater performances. Oh, fear of missing out, FOMO, sorry, of theater performances. And so I have some links to some virtual things that they've done that I'm excited to see. I had a meeting with Dr. Watson and Director Hamada to look at the agenda. We were part of the superintendent evaluation presentation. I went to a meeting with KEA officials. So that's always great to meet with educators. Man, I did a lot. I went to a meeting. I don't know if I was supposed to be there, but I went anyway to the Puget Sound ESD and the Kingmakers of Oakland, did a presentation. I somehow heard about it, showed up. It was great to find out more about what they did because I'd missed the other meetings. So it was amazing to hear. So I really appreciate that wealth of knowledge. I was invited by Principal Jen Hoagland at Daniel Elementary to record a video of me reading a book called Pink is for Boys for Pride Month celebration at Daniel Elementary. And that was really amazing. I was happy to do that and love doing things like that and hope for the opportunity. I know that we have a discussion of the superintendent evaluation tomorrow during a exec session. Exec session. And also just please invite me to schools, sites, locations. I also want to point out, I know we're not supposed to respond to comments heard from the audience, but just I think it's important that we think about Black Lives Matter, and specifically Black Lives Matter at school, and that as we have our community conversations this summer, specifically about SRs in schools, that we invite members of educators of color and some students, any educator who uses a Black Lives Matter at school curriculum, to just kind of be part of the conversation. I think it's important to listen to our educators, listen to our students and our community as we continue moving forward in conversations about equity in our district. So I thank you. That's all for my report today, and I appreciate everything. Thank you so much.
And I think I'm next. We're going alphabetical. So, yeah, I just wanted to, all the proclamations, Juneteenth, very important. I'm glad we're recognizing that. I would also echo, I would like us to recognize Pride Month as well, and echo those sentiments. Congratulations. I'm very sad about particularly one staff retirement, the beloved music teacher at Ridgewood that both my kids had, and had so many students. I just found out yesterday, he let me know he's retiring. So I just, it's like, I think about all our schools, and when I hear about retirements, I just know there's so many students that have been impacted over the years by all our teachers that are retiring. And it's just, when I think about that, it's just how amazing our teachers touching the lives of all these students and just following them through their careers through school. And some of these teachers, they keep in touch with students, and some of these teachers, they're just fond memories. And so I'm just so, congratulations on retirement, but I know you will all be missed. Congratulations to our employees of the year. I always want to meet them. So I'm hoping that, now that COVID's over, I can meet all of these employees and the teacher of the year, just because it's just hearing their stories. I really appreciate that when that's presented, so we can learn more about what they're doing in our schools. It's so important. And then the years of service, 5 to 40 years, amazing. So kind of to echo also what Director Benno said, having met with the Kent educators of color, and, it was brought to our attention that we could have a zero series, which talks about, and I kind of just reviewed that after it was first discussed, that zero series where we could put mission statements and our visions and our beliefs. And so, as we move forward into the next school year, very shortly here, thinking about that board work when we're doing our policy work about whether we want to add that series to talk about mission and vision and belief. So that that one comment that Director Benno mentioned really, that made me think about that previous conversation we'd had. So since our last meeting, there's, I've had a lot of stakeholders reach out. I was invited to go visit Lake Youngs, so I'm going to take that opportunity. Tomorrow I'm recording for the graduation celebrations. It's our students, seniors graduating. And I think everyone else recorded today. I'm trying to remember. I made a list, and I've, there was a recall petition, and I'm going to talk about it. It was an interesting experience, and I try and learn and grow from every experience. And so during that time, I had the opportunity to have 2 or 3 phone calls with Tim Garshow, who's the head of the Washington State School Directors Association. And that was really helpful, really enlightening. So for all my colleagues, it's always helpful to, talk to the person who's in charge of our association. And, so in those conversations, he kind of reminded me about, the board's main focus. And, some of our primary activities are adopting policy, planning, assessing short-term goals, acting as a liaison between the community and the district, advocating for students, the school district, and public education, and hiring and evaluating the superintendent. So we're kind of in the midst of that superintendent evaluation, like Director Benno said. We had a meeting last week. We have a meeting tomorrow. And then typically, I think there's just one more meeting. And so I've been, reviewing the self-evaluation materials. I've been reviewing the rubric. And so we'll be meeting tomorrow night on that. And Mr. Garshow and I also had a really great conversation about best course of action when responding to stakeholder concerns from all over the organization. And his advice to me was just to make certain to go back. He asked about orientation, and he asked about, the policies and procedures around just reporting a concern or a complaint. So he said, just make sure, Michelle, that the board always just follows those policies and procedures. So I just, it was helpful for me. And so I reviewed all of those myself. And so I'm just going to take a point of privilege and share that here. I know I've brought up before the idea of, some districts have an anonymous tip line to register complaints and concerns. That didn't really move beyond the discussion phase, but I just want to just take a moment to talk about our policies and procedures. There's a report a concern tab on the website that's new. I think it was earlier than that, March. I think that was established in March. So it's right there on the main page. And that's for general concerns to report. And it kind of gives an outline of, the process. And then if there's specific concerns regarding bullying, civil rights resources like for 504s or IEP concerns, COVID safety violations, discrimination, sexual harassment, and then other special concerns. And there's, I think, links to OSPI, but not on that page are other policies and procedures. So we have the 4220 policy, which covers complaints concerning programs or any staff member in the district. Obviously with school board, it's a recall petition. So that's the process if you have a complaint about the school board, or you could directly, talk to the school board. And then we have a procedure 2020P that covers any curriculum complaints. And then for employees, we have policy and procedure 5241 that covers the reporting of any improper actions. So that would be of anything that's in violation of federal, state, or local laws or rules, district policies, or an abuse of authority, or of substantial or specific dangers to the public health or safety, or is a gross waste of public funds. And there are whistleblower regulations, of course, surrounding, if any employees had something to report. So that was just really helpful talking to Mr. Garshaw. So I always try and look for the silver lining in every experience of my life. And it is, it's been really enlightening and eye-opening. And, again, also going back to just laws and policies regarding school board governance. And we have a lot of responsibilities. And so, I'm looking forward to moving forward. It's summer, but there's lots of things happening, and just getting all our work done. And again, I thank all my colleagues for all their hard work. And that concludes my report.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll go next. I don't have a whole lot. I also want to thank our Kent educators of color. And I want to thank them for inviting me, but also for sharing their thoughts and ideas with us as a board. They've asked for several areas of focus that they have, and they're a little bit different from what I heard other board members, but they did bring up what Ms. Colonzo mentioned earlier about the Black Lives Matter movement and a statement in support of that. And one of the things that I'd like for us to do, I think all of us are very conscious about what has happened in the past several months, and all of us want to make a statement, and we really put value in our equity, race and equity plan. I really would like for us to move from talk to action. And I'm hoping that we can have a discussion around some of the things our educators of color would like to see. This is very much akin to what we've done in the past with our Pizza and Politics. We've had other groups that we've met with, and we've come forward and spoken to the district about what are the things that they'd like to see change. And so I think we need to hold this as a valuable conversation and recognize that we really need to move from talk to action. And so, I would really like us to discuss a couple of the things that they brought up, the Black Lives Matter statement as a resolution, and I think we can get that done. And we can have a discussion on that for certain. And then really help partner with the district on this ethnic studies, because I think, when we took our students to Olympia, it was very clear our students were very interested in ethnic studies, and Bob, Senator Hasagawa had a bill and that passed, and expanding K through 6 ethnic studies. And I think while it's not mandated, there's local control, and there's certainly opportunities for us to think about pedagogy. And that was one of their concerns, is that how do we develop a foundation, not consider it social studies, but look at it as a course, but kind of make sure that the teachers have the necessary training, and it's a way of thinking. And they're not really clear on who has the authority to bring all of this to fruition. And I think one of the things we should do is think about partnering more closely with them, and kind of think about what are the needs that are being unmet for them as well, and certainly for our students. And then also they brought up the social emotional learning, and we always kind of talk about second step, when we're talking about SEL, but kind of think about a district approved SEL around race and our students. And teachers really can't do this separately. And so every kid really needs to know that they matter. And how can we do this in a holistic way where there is a district approved or district approved curriculum that every school can really use to advocate for our students. So those are the 3 things that really came out of that meeting. And I would really like to put this on an agenda to have a discussion and move it forward, because I think, we have a lot of these meetings where ideas come up and concerns. It would be nice to see it addressed holistically. And so that, and I also just want to thank everybody for their presentations, and congratulations to our educators. And congratulations to all of the board certified teachers from last meeting. I was unable to attend, and I thank you all for being here. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. So I will be brief. I want to say again, congratulations to the retirees and the years of service. It's always fun. I actually got one today myself from my district, so it's really exciting to be able to do that. And you look back and you think, oh my gosh, how fast does 15 years go or 20 years go? But it goes fast. So thank you for your dedication to our students. It goes without saying that, teaching and everything that goes around education are one of the most important influencers of all of us. And so thank you so much for all you do, you continue to do for our students and our families. I also want to take a moment and speak about meeting, of course, with the Kent Educators of Color, which was fantastic. And I agree. I totally agree about we need to make a stand and take action, and with regards to Black Lives Matter and supporting. And I also would love to see something in support of Pride Month. I think that we need to be able to recognize our students for who they are and honor them and support them in any way we can. I also want to just take a moment, and I just want to touch a little bit on the recall, because what I found interesting, and I'm just going to be brief about it, but I think that we all have to figure out why we want to do what we do and why we're here. And I think that at times I think there's a lot of frustration that exists with community members who may not understand exactly what it takes to be on the board. I know several, some of our new board members have made that comment as such, and I'm sure you guys probably remember that Maya and I were subject to a recall. I think right after my first year here, there was talk about recalling us, and then I find it interesting that, well, I guess the person who began this recall indicated that if Maya and I were still there, he would have continued it. But for whatever reason, he decided that he was going to discontinue it after, we spent quite a bit of money and on something that had already been resolved. So anyway, I would just really encourage people. I mean, it just seems as though there's so much negativity, and even in the conversations that are happening here, there's a lot of really good things that are happening in the school district. We have students who are graduating in the midst of this pandemic. We have families that have been supported. We have students that have been supported. We have staff members that have been supported. We've been able to continue to serve students. Have there been challenges? Absolutely. Every district has had challenges. But I think that continuing to focus on negativity and all the things we didn't do or didn't do right or didn't do just, it's disheartening because it doesn't give credit to what has happened. And I think, I would love to hear from people, and we do hear from people sometimes about what's going well. We've heard from people who have supported our graduation plan. We've heard from people who supported our back to school plan. And I think we need to encourage our community members, not just to reach out when they want to complain, but also to reach out when they're supported. So there are as many of those options that Vice President Bettinger listed. We can also use those to say positive information as well, not just complaints. So I would really encourage us to support each other, and I would invite folks to share those positive stories. It's appreciated when we get them, and we do get them. We do get positive feedback from people, and I'd like to highlight that because that's not always what you hear. So thank you so much. And the staff might not hear all the time because it comes sometimes to our board directors, but there are positive things that are said, and there are positive things that are happening and recognized in our community. And so if no one else wants to say that, I just want to remind you all of that. So there are positive things that are happening, and your work is appreciated. So thank you so much for what you do. It's not always doom and gloom, and it's not always negative. So thank you so much for taking the time and working as hard as you do and as long as you do for our students and our families. It really is appreciated. So on that note, I will adjourn the meeting at 8:23. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Have a great night.